period was very challenging. I want to encourage you because you are going to find yourself in some situations and it's going to be like, am I really a good fit? Am I qualified to be here? But really you are. So, kept that encouragement. I kept doing my work. I kept having my publications, presentations, manuscripts. I started getting reviews from people. I started getting encouraging words from people, and that kind of built my my confidence. So that was my experience at Harvard. So, following that, with the level of exposure to research, I found out that, okay, I have still not achieved my dream. I still wanted to know how to design a kind of research that would affect policy. So that was still deficient. Some of my analysis, I found that I need to improve more, I need to know more. So I wanted to do a PhD. And when I started talking about a PhD among my colleagues, people were like, you're a doctor, go and do residency. I wanted a PhD, it was there, the fire was right in my bones. But there was a lot of discouragement until I met somebody who is a vascular surgeon at Harvard and encouraged me, and he just got his own PhD, so he encouraged me and told me to apply for this program at University of Maryland School of Public Health, Health Policy and Management. And this is me, excited. These are my cohort. You can see me excited, learning about Markov model, talking to my colleagues, sharing my class, as in the things I learned. And that, for me, I keep telling people, has been the biggest education of my life. It's so life-changing for me, and I want to throw that at you. You can be doing a PhD. I have met people who actually completed a PhD and knew nothing about risk. I've met people who went to PhD and knew nothing. It was like, you can see, it's as if they had never passed through a PhD training. So it's actually dependent on you. I have mentored a lot of people where I have told them, you are going to a master's program, you are having a PhD program, you have to really, really get yourself into the system. You have to make sure you want to really, get as much as possible from that same program. If not, it is possible for you to finish an MPH, to finish a PhD, and you will not be different from somebody who had not even gone to that school. So I threw myself at it. I was always asking questions. I was always having extra meetings with my professors. Like for one of the classes, cost effectiveness analysis was so important to my passion, my life. I was always going to my professor. And at the end, I got what I wanted from that class. So, I would say, what are the lessons so far that I have learned? During this PhD program, I have learned how to do a cost effectiveness analysis. It's very important in my field because we don't only just want to throw out our research findings. We want to also be sure that these interventions that we are proposing are cost effective. So that has been a passion. I went all out. I presented my paper in London, Royal College of Obstetrics and Gynecology around June this year on cost effectiveness analysis. What I just learned in the spring semester. I learned about grant writing. I've been able to write grant for some of our attendees now. Now, another major thing I learned was the intersection of politics and health policy. When I left Nigeria, I wanted to do research, and the research was research that was going to affect policy. I wanted to do research published that was going to affect policy. I thought it was that easy until I had lectures of health policy in my PhD class, and I discovered that there is a significant intersection between policy and politics. You can have your research, you can prove that a particular intervention is good, but if you don't have it sold to the politicians in a way they can understand it, then you are really not going to make any impact. Like you look at the Affordable Care Act, you have to be able to show that this Affordable Care Act is going to increase access to healthcare, and then you have to be able to convince the politicians. So there is actually, you can't do it on your own. You have to be able to merge the intersection of politics and health policy of your research findings. Your research findings has to be research that will have real life implications. So that's one of the things I tell my friends, my mentees, that any research you are doing, you must ask yourself, this particular research, how is it going to affect public health, population health? How is it going to affect policy? That will guide you to make sure what you are doing, research that will have real life implications. So these are just some of my publications. This particular study was, for me, it's mind-blowing because this study was cited on the MSNBC. That was like having your work cited on CNN and less than 7 years in the United States. This is another work where we looked at distressed community, we looked at where people live and how, when socioeconomic neighborhood poverty affects firearm injuries in America. We look at this, we did a study on renal medullary carcinoma. And another one, this was my study in Nigeria, my thesis for my specialist training in Nigeria. Some other studies, this is one of the biggest journals for obstetrics and gynae in America, obstetrics and gynecology. We have 2 publications with them. We have this post-operative atrial fibrillation. This was one of my, I always say this is one of my studies that I never believed was going to be published, and got published in a big, very prominent surgical journal. And then this particular was another big one for me, diabetes. We presented this at the American Diabetes Association earlier this year. So we have presentations. These are some of by virtue of my work, I travel all over the country, outside the country to present my work. This was me presenting my work at the American College of Obstetrics and Gynae in Maryland earlier this year. This was me at the American Public Health Association in Georgia. This was me in international. This is the biggest obstetrics and gynae conference worldwide. So I presented here International Federation of Obstetrics and Gynae 2023 in Paris, and our work was chosen as one of the best 20 in the world. So the conference registration, everything was paid by FIGO. This was me presenting at the Society of Black Academic Surgeons in Michigan. It's very important to me because this time I'm presenting among Black academic surgeons. And then this is me in London presenting my work at the Royal College of Obstetrics and Gynae. I also function as a peer review for some very prominent journals, like the Obstetrics and Gynae, British Journal of Obstetrics and Gynae, International Journal of Obstetrics and Gynae, Journal of Surgical Research, British Medical Journal, American Diabetes Association Clinical Diabetes, Journal of Racial and Ethnic Health Disparities, Perspective in Public. These are just a few of what I do. And then I also have pictures here of some people who have had significant influence on my life. I told you about Dr. Hughes. This is Dr. Hughes. He's a vascular surgeon, he's a professor of surgery at Howard University College of Medicine. He was the only person that accepted my dream of being a professor of medicine. He wanted to do a PhD, and he really encouraged me. This is the department chair, Dr. Terence Fulham. He's the chair of the Department of Surgery at Howard University College of Medicine. This is my assistant. He's Dehas. He's a surgeon, initially from Ethiopia. And then this is Dr. Conwell. And Conwell is one of the most prominent professors of surgery in America. So these are people I work with. And the way we do it is that once I have my results, we sit down, we discuss the results. Dr. Conwell is particularly so good about numbers. He will look through your work. At times, it makes you feel really bad, like picking out all the errors in your work. And at times, it's real. You struggle, but you have to have the right perspective that these people are trying to make me better. They are trying to make my work better. And I've learned so much from them. And also, these are some of the people that I partnership with. Initially, when I started research, I thought I could do it on my own. I would do the analysis, write my manuscript myself, and then I was getting to a level where you spend for 6 months, I have the manuscript sitting. It's there. And then you get a response from the reviewer. I will have no time to respond to that. You have another 6 months. So I learned about the power of collaboration, of you training people to be able to do your work. You train them, yeah, you trust them. So these are people I work with. This is Moji. She's a PhD student of epidemiology at the University of Alabama at Birmingham. This is my very good friend, who's also more like a mentor to me. He's also a psychiatrist. He's at Boston University College of Medicine. This is Dehas, the surgeon at Howard. This is Ofure. Ofure is in Canada. He's also an obstetrician and gynecologist. This is Tayo. This is a family physician, also my classmate and very good friend. This is Shivon. She's a surgeon also at Howard University College of Medicine from Nigeria. This is one of our medical students. Her name is Eunice, and she's learning how to submit manuscript, and she's been doing superb. And then this is Kinda, also one of the residents at Howard University College of Medicine. So these are few of the people I work with, trying to let you see that to achieve your goal in life, you need to collaborate, you need to work with people, you need to trust them. At times when you are passionate about something, it's difficult for you to really give, you don't want to give responsibilities, but you really have to learn that it's important for you to train people and to let them be, to train them and trust them enough to let them be. And then you'll be surprised at the level of the work, the number of publications that were churning out from Howard is so huge, and then you wonder, it is because we are collaborating. It's just not one person that is doing this work. So these are some positive feedback. We have some series of awards. We have letters of commendations from different professors when we presented our work. We have calls for grant applications, and then we also have news medias in Boston, news medias MSNBC, as in referencing our work in their news outlets. So you ask me, what is the future? For me, I want to be a professor of medicine. One day I want to work either with the CDC, World Health Organization, or the National Institute of Health, trying as much as possible to influence policy that is going to affect population health. Initially it was women, but now it's more expanded, both for women, minority group, and everybody, whether white, black, Hispanics, non-Hispanics, across board, male, female, adults, children. I am passionate about public health. I want to influence policy, and I'm trying as much as possible to learn and equip myself with the skills that will allow me to be able to do this. So I'm just going to run through one of our studies. So this is the particular study where it was recently published, where we looked at factors that are associated with suicide, self-inflicted injuries. We looked at factors that predict